had photos of he and Ghislaine with Pope John Paul II, Mick Jagger, Elon Musk, Fidel Castro, Richard Branson from Virgin Airlines, President Bill Clinton, which, let me just tell you, this picture is so eerie. And even a signed dollar bill gifted to Epstein by Bill Gates. There's bedrooms and bathrooms and areas like that. As you can see here, there were security surveillance cameras in the bedroom.
What's up, YouTube? Welcome back to my channel. How you guys doing? If you guys are brand new here to the channel, you guys don't know what we do, don't worry. I'm gonna break it down for you guys. We talk about the most scariest and creepiest videos on the net, on the web, from YouTube videos to TikTok videos, IG Reels, Facebook, anything weird, unusual, unexplained, you can find right here on this channel. I just want to thank all the seekers, man, who's watching the videos entirely. Comment down below. Really appreciate the support. Found this video for you guys today. Let's do what we do best, seekers. Say it with me, y'all. Let's seek the truth.
This woman lost her life after eating sushi that had mushrooms in it. 64-year-old Donna Ventura was rushed to the hospital after visiting Dave's sushi restaurant in Montana with her husband and friends. But Donna did not get food poisoning from the raw fish. Instead, she had their special roll, which contained uncooked morel mushrooms. Within only an hour of Donna consuming the sushi, she was in so much pain and was taken to the hospital. This poor woman suffered multiple organ failures and went into cardiac arrest. Then she passed away 12 days later. According to the health department, Donna got food poisoning from the morel mushrooms, which they said that a lot of people don't know that if it's not cooked properly, it can be lethal. And it turns out that these mushrooms had previously gotten at least 50 other people sick at this restaurant. Donna's husband said that her last moments consisted of excruciating pain, so much that she had to communicate through writing. And the last thing that she wrote to him was that she was in too much pain and she couldn't go on much longer. Her husband filed a wrongful death lawsuit against Dave Sushi, but the restaurant denies any wrongdoing.
Heston James
Stay away from sushi.
He might not ever be getting out after what he did. So if y'all don't know, Heston became insanely popular due to the backup screamer prank. Well, now due to those pranks, Heston is facing some felony charges. Apparently, when Heston was doing these pranks, businesses reported that people would come into their stores dressed as employees, and according to the police, impersonating store employees is apparently a felony. But oh, that is not all that Heston has been charged with. His rap sheet is 5 counts of disorderly conduct, 5 counts of criminal trespass, 2 counts of criminal impersonation, and 1 count of burglary. Now, if Heston does end up being found guilty of this is not just some light jail sentence. Heston will be facing hard prison time for these TikTok pranks. Now, if y'all remember, there were a lot of Heston impersonators when he was at his peak. A lot of people were going into stores and yelling just random stuff. So if Heston does in fact end up getting charged with all this, I imagine the other TikTok pranksters are probably going to start panicking because they were out here doing the same exact thing as Heston. They were just copying and pasting it.
You have to hear this. A Missouri man who lives inside of a cemetery actually saw the Grim Reaper. He said that he was in his house watching TV at about 3 o'clock in the morning when he heard a huge crash outside. Soon after, he heard sirens and decided to step out to see what was happening. When he got outside, he saw cop cars, firefighters, and an ambulance arriving. He walked through the cemetery to get a better view of what was going on. As he looked down from the top of the hill, he saw that it was a horrific car accident, a head-on collision between 2 cars, during which one of the drivers actually died at the scene. After watching the police and the paramedics do their work, he decided to start heading home. But then, all of a sudden, he heard something drop down from the tree beside him. He turned around to see what it was, and standing right in front of him was a strange, gray, faceless, humanoid figure. His heart jumped up into his throat and he abruptly beelined it back home. He continued to hear this creature behind him, but he never looked back. He got home and immediately locked the doors.
Okay, beware of the Grim Reaper. This guy say he saw it. I don't know if you can take a spoiler counting, but he has some details.
So he takes his clothes off and starts doing this weird dance. I thought it was like a choreographed seizure, and right when she let her guard down, he jumped her, bit her in the back of the head. Only outcome was dead, except it's not a man. But there's a predator that apparently packs out prey the exact same way. This right here is Stoat. If you think he's cute, you haven't seen what he'll do to a rabbit. The Stoat is the muscly little brother of badgers and wolverines, and they're a homicidal toddler tube sock with teeth. One that can murk animals 10 times their size by running them to death. But it's been reported that Stoats will hypnotize rabbits with a dance to confuse their prey into passiveness. They call it it the Weasel War Dance, and the Stowe break dance is while two-stepping closer and closer until the end game is one less rabbit. Allegedly. We don't know for sure if that's what they're doing, or how they even cooked it up, and I probably wouldn't believe it, but I can't put anything past a honey badger's blood. And it's not just stoats. Apparently weasels of every kind will start weaseling out when they catch a body. And if you own a ferret, you've seen this first Slinky's dance, and it's usually after stealing something or catching a toy. It's like a pre-built predatory victory emote. They even make happy sounds while doing it, and of course there's a name for this sound. It's called duking. You should definitely look it up. Businesses duking it out is actually a lot cuter than you think. Also, rabbits really only exist by sheer numbers. Sometimes I wonder if they know they're alive. Although if Watership Down was basically my biopic, I'd be dissociated half the time too, the more you know.
Here are some crazy things happening in the world right now. A man in Michigan, known for his generosity in his community, made one final gesture to thank his community by literally making it rain cash from a helicopter at his own funeral using his life savings. He was a beloved car wash owner in East Detroit, and he died from Alzheimer's at 58 years old. Sounds like a great guy. We can now help the U.S. government pay down its debt using Venmo and PayPal. Yippee! A Florida man was arrested for drunk driving a lawnmower down a highway. McDonald's had an AI hiring tool that's password was 123456, which someone apparently guessed and exposed the data of 64 million applicants to McDonald's. An everyone is welcome classroom sign is violating a new Idaho law. The law says that you're not allowed to put up political statements as signs in classrooms. I guess, okay. A teacher was banned recently in Wales for drinking alcohol, swearing at other teachers, and dancing to the Macarena while under the influence of alcohol. Obviously, or not obviously, I don't know. Sometimes you just want to dance to the Macarena, I guess.
This is what would happen if you just completely stopped sleeping. The average person sleeps for about a third of their lifetime, which it might seem a waste of time, but it's actually good for your body. Whilst you sleep, your body releases hormones and repairs tissues. It replaces old cells with new ones. But the real question is, how long could you actually last without sleeping? The first 24 hours you'd be fine. You just get a little bit more drowsy as the day goes on. After that first 24 hours though, your reaction time would become low and your brain would forget what you're doing. After 2 days without sleeping, your body would start shutting down. So on day 2, your skin will start becoming very pale and your eyes would become bloodshot. At day 3, you will start having hallucinations and your dreams will become reality. After 1 week, start saying goodbye to your fat and muscle because your body will start using this for energy. After 2 weeks, your immune system will become that low that you could actually die from the common cold. And finally, after 3 weeks of no sleeping, you will most likely have a heart attack.
So I just watched Ed 2, and here's my honest
Insane.
review. This film is followed by Brent, played by Lou Diamond Phillips, who is a burnt-out director. He is left with a messy production, and he is convinced that his lead actor, who happens to be the theater owner's son, is sabotaging everything. Things start to escalate when Brent meets a mysterious janitor who may or may not be a supernatural force. He encourages Brent to take lethal action to fix the cast problems. Honestly, the first half is pretty slow and it's just all backstage drama. Tension starts to build and the director is all stressed out. He is trying to keep his Shakespearean production afloat. In the second half, wow, it all unravels into a bloody chaos. Characters die, paranoia takes over, and the theater turns into a stage show of murder and mistrust. Lou Diamond Phillips is a phenomenal director and he is losing his mind in real time. If you're into horror with theatrical vibes, this is a fun, messy, and bloody ride. I give this film a 7 out of 10, just give it time to warm up because the payoff is worth it.
Possums and opossums are very different animals. You could have already lived the best day of your life and not even know it for decades later until like nothing else tops it. Trauma can be passed down through generations, and I don't just mean in like a stories or a habits kind of way. I mean like on a very deep level. When our bodies go through stress, it actually affects the body on a genetic level, and that can be passed down to your offspring. So next time you're feeling just like anxious and you don't really know why, instead of being like, it's just my head, you're probably feeling something that your body just remembers. The most common cause of death in pregnant women is murder. There were some islands discovered in the 1700s, I think called the Falkland Islands, and they got there and they discovered a new canine species. I think they called them wallas, and they were super friendly. Like they would actually swim out to the boats to greet people, and it was really nice and cool until people wanted to bring sheep to the island and were like, hey, we don't want these wallas eating the sheep, so they killed all of them. They wiped out an entire...
Continue with me. 10 M's. You guys think he's gonna win? I heard it was just not the squirrel before a raccoon too.
This video will prove you have thalassophobia.
Fear of the deep sea? Nah, I couldn't work on a boat like that, man. The waves like that. Oh heck! Looked like he almost got submerged by that wave, man. Can't be me, bro. I can't do that.
Facts that I barely believe myself. Plastic recycling was a lie made up by the oil industry to ease public conscience so far to the point that they convinced city government officials to put out recycling bins even though there was no recycling programs. There are 168 different cultures in the world and only 46% of those kiss their romantic partners. Whales used to be land animals. The only reason we have them is because some ancient animal came out of the ocean, became a mammal, walked around on 4 legs, and then went back into the ocean. The day after 9/11, when all flights were grounded, the Earth's temperature dropped by 2 whole degrees. Gravity causes attraction between objects with mass, and it works across vast distances. Humans have mass, which means we're all slightly attracted to each other. And that also means when I move my arm around like this, I'm technically moving atoms around in your body wherever they happen to be.
Hey, man, I'm missing off.
What the heck? Oh, dude, bro.
Did you know that Aretha Franklin had her first child when she was only 12 years old? Let's talk about it. Aretha Franklin was known by her nickname the Queen of Soul while she was alive, and she's regarded by many people to have been one of the best singers and vocalists of all time. And she undoubtedly was one of the most influential musical artists to ever exist. Now, throughout her life, Aretha did a lot of interviews and a lot of press tours, but she never really wanted to speak about the father of her children, and that's probably because she had her first child, like I said, when she was just 12 years old, meaning that she would have gotten pregnant when she was 11 years old or had just turned 12. Now, even up until Aretha's death, nobody knew who the father was, even though some people did have some suspicions. But in 2019, about a year after Aretha died, some wills were found tucked away in a sofa and in a locked vault. And in those wills that Aretha hand wrote, she revealed who she said was the father of the kids. She said that the father of the child she had at 12 years old, named Clarence, was a man named Edward Jordan Sr. And just a few years later, when Aretha was 15 years old, she had another child who she also claimed was fathered by Edward Jordan Sr. It's almost impossible to find any information about Edward Jordan, but in the wills, Aretha states that Edward Jordan Sr. should receive no part of the estate. She actually underlines the no for emphasis 2 different times, which to a lot of people showed that she wanted no association with this man. It's always just crazy to me and think that someone back then could father a child with a 12-year-old girl and that it was, not frowned upon or illegal. Like I said, I couldn't track down exactly how old the father actually would have been at the time, but I've seen people state online that there was an age gap between the two, which by modern standards would have obviously made this entire thing very illegal.
Let's see if you have thalassophobia. Part 3. I'm
man.
going to show you 5 photos. If you feel too uncomfortable to make it to the 5th photo, then you could have thalassophobia. Number 1. How about this?
I'm cool.
Feeling uncomfortable yet?
A little bit.
Nearly there. Last one.
Oh no.
Hit follow to see if you can make it through the next phobia test.
I don't know what was at the edge of that, but she's a brave soul.
Things we all did as kids. Trying to balance a light switch in between on and off. This was literally every kid's goal in life. And once you'd done it, you felt that accomplished, it was pointless even going back to school. Up next, making sure your reflection wasn't alive. Always trying to catch your reflection slipping. Looking away, looking back in the mirror. Damn, that thing's quick. We all did it as kids. And last up, getting the same 5 answers in a row in a test. We've all had this at one point at some point during our school lives. What the fuck? You look around and you see someone like this in a test, you know they've just answered the same 5 questions the same.
Did that ever happen to me with the test joint? I don't think so. 5 in a row. Can't be that much of a coincidence.
Paintings on the bottom of swimming pools needs to be illegal. Part 4. The child here has a head, I promise. The iPhone counts your days because it keeps deleting people's heads. But this shark mural, could you ever get in this pool? See, at first glance, this looks really, really cool. But you see the way my brain is set up, that giant astronaut would give me a panic attack. The artistry, it's beautiful. This orca would send me to my grave. Stop putting orca paintings in pools. 2026. Thank you. This is the artist, and she's very talented. I'm not sure who she is, but I saw her on Google, and good job. Very talented. All of this, though, keep it away from me, please, love. Something about this way that this shark is depicted makes it scarier than a real one. I don't know why paintings on the bottom of swimming pools is terrifying, but you can't even get me in a regular swimming pool by myself, much less anything that has sharks, whales, or anything big painted on the bottom of it. Please stop. Also, because everyone gets mad every time I make a video like this, do whatever you want with your own pool. My channel is about submechanophobia and being scared of swimming pools. Thank you.
This doctor was caught storing poisoned IV bags because he was angry over potentially losing his job. This all started in August 2022 when a surgical center in Dallas was forced to be closed down after there were a number of unexplained emergencies during patient procedures. One of these emergencies included this healthy 18-year-old who came in for a sinus surgery. Well, he ended up going into cardiac arrest and almost lost his life. All the patients who had the same reaction during a routine procedure survived, except for this woman who also happened to be a doctor. Dr. Melanie Casper became sick one day and was given an IV bag to take home to help her feel better. But minutes after inserting the needle, she suffered a heart attack and passed away. It turns out that these patients were poisoned with a nerve blocker, which was later found in the IV bags. After conducting an investigation, they realized that these IV bags had small holes in them, which showed that they were tampered with. Then, after looking at surveillance footage, Dr. Reynaldo Ortiz was seen storing tainted IV bags, which turned out to be the same bags used on these patients. Prosecutors believe that Dr. Reynaldo was angry that he was going to lose his job over a problem in one of his previous surgeries and think that's why he did this. He now faces up to life in prison if convicted.
The largest people like that are truly dangerous, man. They mad at the world, so they take it out on other people.
Crocodiles ever recorded. Brutus, 18 feet through him.
It's like a dinosaur.
Yao, 19 feet 8 inches.
Those are many dinos, bro.
Dominator, 20 FT. Lelong, 20 feet 3 in.
Where are they located at, man? What the heck?
Gustavi, 20 feet.
Another 20-footer.
Chris, 28 feet 4 inches.
He gone, okay.
I remember the time in the Jurassic World ride where all the lights were on and the T-Rex absolutely refused to move. Yeah, I do, and every time I think about it, my timbers are absolutely shivered. This is what Bro is supposed to do. He's supposed to growl and, you know, swing out and, you know, do his whole RAR thing, RAR XD, if you will. But nah, on this particular day, Bro was not having it. Check him out. Like, the Indominus Rex is doing his part. The Indominus Rex is hitting all of his beats. He's doing great. However, the T-Rex is just over it. The video at the end is really kind of creepy, honestly, because you can see that the Indominus Rex is like rawr, and then the other T-Rex is like, I'm not moving. And it's just something so off-putting about seeing the Jurassic World ride with all the lights on. I'm glad the ride got stuck there and not in front of the frickin' Mosasaurus, like, because there's like a bunch of TVs with the Mosasaurus trying to break through. And I'm telling you right now, my soul would leave my bones if I was anywhere near that thing for a long period of time. There's also this horror when the lights are on. A frickin' dinosaur looks down at you, but you don't see its entire thing unless the lights are on, and you can see its frickin' neck is just all mechanics, and that is horrifying. So yeah, the T-Rex is gonna get fired soon because he's just not doing his job and he's not acting. Watch this video and let me know what you're thinking. And how would you react to seeing the Jurassic World ride with all the lights on? I think it would be 100 times scarier.
Alright. He's doing his job. Bro said, I'm retired. I ain't doing nothing.
There might be an actual serial ender on this app right now. So recently, this account called The Hunger Killer has been posting some very disturbing videos. In one of these videos, they show off their basement where you can see what appears to be someone's jeans on the table right there. And in another video, they show what appears to be multiple graves in what I assume is their backyard. And according to people in the comments, there's actually more stuff that just isn't there anymore, such as them showing off an unalived person on their story. And they also apparently had multiple videos that have since been taken down. Now, I haven't seen these videos that have been taken down, so I don't know what exactly was on them, but if anybody has them, please send them over to me. Now, as for the reason that people think the Hunger Killer is like posting all this, apparently people think the Hunger Killer might eat other people. A lot of other people also think that the Hunger Killer is just posting to brag about their victims and to sort of gain notoriety, which does make sense, but I think the most plausible thing is it's probably just fake. I mean, someone probably just went out into their backyard and dug all these holes to make a creepy looking video. And if that is the case, I must say they succeeded, and they might actually have one of the creepiest basements of all time. But the fact that they posted someone who was unalived on their story definitely does make it seem a little more real. But what do you guys think of this?
This artwork that was found in Jeffrey Epstein's house is incredibly disturbing. So this was actually in Epstein's mansion in New York City, and as you can see, this is a sculpture of a bronze bride hanging by a rope. All this is coming from the New York Times, and immediately when I viewed this sculpture, I was just overcome with a sense of dread. Clearly you can see that she does not look happy, and she almost looks like she's trying to escape something. Also inside of the mansion, Epstein had photos of he and Ghislaine with Pope John Paul II, Mick Jagger, Elon Musk, Fidel Castro, Richard Branson from Virgin Airlines, President Bill Clinton, which, let me just tell you, this picture is so eerie. And even a signed dollar bill gifted to Epstein by Bill Gates. Also had a stuffed tiger. And in the upstairs bedrooms and bathrooms and areas like that, as you can see here, there were security surveillance cameras in the bedroom and in another room, which obviously provides evidence for the blackmail thing. I mean, you can clearly see these cameras mounted in rooms that in a normal house would not be there.
Here are some are completely harmless to humans, and you can actually swim with them.
Would you swim in that lake, Seekers? That's a no for
Scary
me.
facts about North Korea, Part 3. North Korea has a fake propaganda village that was built to look like a peaceful place, so people from South Korea will come up to North Korea. But in reality, the village is completely empty. All the buildings have no windows, and all the lights that come on are set on automatic timers. The only people that are ever here are just maintenance workers. North Korea's most popular attraction is visiting Kim Jong-il's preserved body. North Korea tells their citizens that this man has godlike abilities and that they must pray to him. Super disturbing, and I feel bad for everybody living in this country.
This girl was lost inside a coffin for 7 years, and you won't believe what happened to her. In 1977, 21-year-old Colleen Stan was hitchhiking to a friend's birthday party in California. As Colleen is waiting, a car pulls up with a man, woman, and baby inside. Colleen decided this ride looked safe, so she hopped in and they drove off. The man and woman that introduced themselves as Cameron and Janice. However, just a few minutes into the ride, Cameron pulled off the highway into an isolated area. Cameron then grabbed a blade from his glove box and held it up to Colleen's throat. He then started explaining that he and his wife decided to kidnap someone to help with chores around their house. Colleen was then violently escorted out of the car into Cameron's house, where she was locked in a box under their bed for 23 hours a day. When the 24th hour came, she was allowed out of the box and forced to sign a contract that officially made her their slave. And after that, she was only let out of the coffin to do chores or be tortured. But one time when she was let out of the box for her 1 hour, she tried to call her family, but Cameron caught her in the act. You will not believe what he did to her.
Trapped in a box, man, for 20 hours a day.
Signs that prove your childhood is ending. You actually do not want it to snow because it becomes inconvenient. You start seeing sleep as a reward rather than a punishment. You gradually see your friends less and less, and you start to cry more over emotional pain than physical pain. Make sure you share this message with someone that's getting old and follows more.
Blood-curdling facts that'll give you nightmares. Many doctors have said that the most common last words that they hear are, "I don't feel so good." Most of the laughing sound effects that you hear on TV shows were recorded in the 1950s, meaning that most of those people that you hear laughing are probably dead. During the French Revolution, it was said that the guillotine had to be used multiple times to get the job done. The reason why planes shut their lights off right before they land is so that the passengers' eyes can adjust to the dark just in case there's a crash. This is so that if the power goes off during the crash landing, they can better find an escape route.
I never knew that. Okay.
This is the scary story about the new parents. There was a kid named Michael who was coming downstairs for breakfast. When he sat down at the table to eat, his mom and dad both looked at him and said good morning. Michael said good morning back and they both continued to talk to him. Michael then noticed that something was off. He noticed that his parents were never this nice, especially in the morning. Michael then asked his mom and dad if they were okay, and they both looked at him with a smile on their face and said, "Yes, honey, we've never been better." Michael then finished breakfast and went back upstairs. But as he was walking back to his room, he noticed that one of the hallway doors was cracked open a little bit. Michael then went over to close it when he smelled something terrible. He then opened the door, and what he saw made his stomach drop. Inside were his mom and dad's dead bodies.
So who's you talking to then? Imposters?
Nope, not a new character. They just have a really low spawn rate. Allow me to explain. Meet the goblin shark. These bad boys are hands down the weirdest shark on Earth. First off, if you didn't notice in the opening clip, their jaws literally extend out of their mouth. Like they could shoot their jaws out of their mouth at 10 feet per second. Fastest jaws in the ocean. It's actually so fast that you can't see it unless you record it on slow-mo. That is fast enough for me to stay dry. On top of that, they also don't have normal teeth like your average shark. Nope, their teeth are more like needles. Looks like a doctor's office. And that's because those aren't meant for chewing. They're to ensure that the prey can't escape while they swallow it whole. But you don't have to worry about that because these guys are only found between 5,000 and 10,000 feet underwater. They thrive where the sun don't shine. And because of that, humans almost never see them. And scientists don't really know anything else about them. Moral of the story, if you actually see one of these in person, you're really lucky. Or unlucky. One of the two. And as always, follow for more facts.
I say unlucky, man. The fact that you can only see the jaws in slow-mo tells the whole story there, bro.
Disgusting human body facts that you don't want to know, but I'm going to tell you anyways. Let's go. The average person farts enough in one day to fill up one party balloon. One of those bad boys. Every single day, humans produce enough snot to fill up a cup. Humans go pee enough times in 1 month to fill up a bathtub. Imagine that. If you laid out all the blood vessels in a human body, they would be able to stretch 60,000 miles long and go around the earth 2 times. I don't like that one. If you learn something, leave a like, maybe a follow.
The last one. I didn't know blood vessels were that
These
long.
are unfun facts that could save your life. Part 5. So most drunk driving deaths, they occur on Saturdays between 1 a.m. and 3 a.m. So avoid driving on the roads during that time. If you're ever in a foreign country and you need help and you don't know the emergency number, just call 112. It's the international emergency number and it'll automatically connect you to the nearest helpline. If you ever disturb a beehive or a wasp nest, do not run for the water. They'll wait for you to resurface and then they'll continue to sting you. Just run fast and as far as you can, because eventually they'll stop following you.
Not so fun facts you'll regret knowing. To start off, anyone can have a brain aneurysm at any age, no matter if you're healthy or not. And did you know that cigarettes have killed more people than any war combined? That's pretty wild. And talking about war, did you know there's a higher chance of you surviving getting shot in the head than being bitten by a dog that has rabies? Why am I scared of dog all of a sudden? And talking about animals, there's a wasp in Australia that actually hunts spiders. It just paralyzes them and starts laying eggs into it before wrapping it into a mud cocoon. And finally, if you ever get in a fight and you punch someone in the heart at the wrong time, you can literally stop their heart from beating, making them pass.
Okay, y'all, I have a newborn and a 15-month-old. I've been busy and I've missed a lot of what's going on, so let's look at some of the crazy things happening in the world right now. Men that were lost at sea for 29 days ended up saying it was a nice break from reality. California passed a new law where if you don't touch your crypto for 3 years, California has the legal right to seize it. A man in the UK who was trying to sell his house for $1 million could not get anyone to buy it for that amount, so he sold $1 raffle tickets for anyone to win the house and ended up selling $2 million in tickets, meaning he got double what he was looking for, and the lucky winner got a house for $1. A man came out and said that he swiped right on Tinder 2 million times, averaging about 2,000 swipes a day, and says over 5 years he just went on one date. New York City had 0 murders on July 4th for the first time in history until the next day it was determined that a man was shot and killed 15 minutes before midnight.
Damn. That close.
I did not know they got that big. I knew the name, I knew what it was. It's a bear cat called a binturong, but I thought it was raccoon weight class, not a sloth bear's understudy. It's carnivore casserole, nicknamed the bear cat, but Cincinnati's mascot is neither. The shadow clone identity crisis is on the cat side of the predatory lunch table. Specifically, it's a type of vivarid. Not a vivid ferret, a vivarid. Its closest relative is a palm civet, whose poop makes a cup of coffee. They're also related to the Apa Madagascar, the Fusa, and the genet. And like a cat, this breathing black bathmat can climb, and they even have a prehensile tail to grab, so being built for the arboreal means you'll smell them before you see them. It's true what you heard. Their pee smells exactly like buttered popcorn, so if you're ever in the jungle and smell a theater, you might be in the presence of a bear cat, or the presence of death, since tiger urine also gives butter. In fact, that might just be why binties smell like that. Somebody fact check me, I just thought of that. At least only when they're young, because apparently with age comes the smell of a corn chip. If you're a binturong. The Frito Warrior is also very noisy. If you want to hear it, find your local binturong, make him happy, and they'll make a lot of sounds, including huffing and even chuckles. Now, even though Buddy's built like a real-life Mandela effect, because some of y'all might swear we just made this up, are actually part of the most primitive of the feliform carnivores. Meaning they're basically like the beta version of cats today. A chuckling, tree-climbing, butter-scented, raccoon, monkey, lemur, bear hybrid that can delay their own pregnancy for months if the outsides ain't looking right. One of the many animals of all time. Also, their babies are called binlets, the more you know.
Binless, okay. You always updating, man, my animal facts. Appreciate that.
Unfun facts until the Orbeez overflow. Bananas are actually a little bit radioactive. Bags of coffee often contain ground up cockroaches as well. There are brain-eating amoebas in ponds and lakes all over the world. Fatal familial insomnia is a condition that destroys one's ability to sleep until they go crazy. Most animals will finish you before eating you. Bears, however, will eat you alive. There was one solo tiger in India that claimed the lives of 436 people. And it looks like I'm out of time. Follow for more fun facts.
436? What part of it was he at?
This special education teacher essayed a 15-year-old student. 30-year-old Christina Formella was born on December 29th of 1994 in Illinois. She always wanted to pursue a career in education, specifically special education. Christina dedicated her professional life to support these students, and she wanted to make a positive impact on them. In August of 2020, Christina started working at Downers Grove High School, working as a special education teacher. In 2021, Christina volunteered as a soccer coach for the boys and girls soccer team, and this showed she was dedicated not only to help students academically, but also athletically. In 2023, Christina met a 15-year-old boy from the soccer team that she was coaching. This wasn't a normal student-teacher dynamic, this was crossing lines, and she was obsessed with him. This teen boy ended up suffering a sports injury which wouldn't allow him to play soccer anymore, which meant that Christina would no longer see this boy, so she offered to be his tutor. She would tutor this teen boy every day after school, and eventually she got his phone number. Since now she had his phone number, she would text and FaceTime him daily. Things started to escalate between the two, and the way that Christina was texting this teen boy was disgusting, inappropriate, and of course illegal. Not long after that, it would be the first time that Christina essayed this teen boy. She took him to her classroom and essayed him on a desk that would later be used by one of her special ed students. Once this teen boy turned 16, he started to like a girl at his school, and once Christina found out about this, she was furious. She truly felt like she was being betrayed and cheating on. Meanwhile, she has a whole fiance at home not knowing what she is doing to a child. She ends up going off on this teen boy through text messages, and she's saying how he was using her, he only wanted her to do it with, and she will be the best thing that he's ever had. In August of 2024, the teen boy ended things with Christina. Meanwhile, she went to Italy to marry her fiance, who was actually her college sweetheart. On the day of Christina's wedding, she locks herself in a bathroom and she is crying about this teen boy. So she goes on her notes app on her phone and she is writing a manifestation that this boy will get back together with her. Poor husband Michael has no idea that this is happening on their wedding day. In March of 2025, so super recently, this teen boy had broke his phone, so his mom bought him a new one. She's transferring all of his stuff over to his new phone and she sees these messages between her son and Christina. She went to police with this information, and on March 22nd, Christina was pulled over and arrested. Mind you, she's in the car with her husband and she's trying to act shocked like she never committed a crime in her whole life. Once police reveal to Christina why she is being arrested, she tries to say that this teen boy was the one that was obsessed with her and that this happens to her all the time because she's so attractive. Once authorities look at Christina's phone, they end up finding more messages between her and other students. When Christina was in court, she pled not guilty and was indicted on 52 additional charges. Since this case is very recent, there is not a trial date yet, but her husband Michael seems to be very supportive and on her side.
A rat baked inside your loaf of bread. That's exactly what happened to a woman in South Africa. In August of this year, this woman bought a loaf of whole wheat bread from a local shop on her way home from work. She ate a few slices without noticing the rat, and then one morning she took out the bread from the fridge to make toast and saw this black hair coming out of her bread. As you can see here, the rat is literally baked inside the bread. After an investigation was done, it was stated that this wasn't the first time that someone found a rat inside this company's food. This seems to be happening more often now because something very similar happened to a man in Australia in February when he bought this wrap and then he noticed that he was chewing on a rat. He bought the wrap at a very popular place called Beefy's Aussie World and said that while he was chewing on it, he realized that it was really chewy. So he spat it out and there was an entire rat. I don't understand how something like this could happen, but this man went back to the restaurant and complained, and all the workers were in disbelief. He said that till this day, he hasn't been able to enjoy a meal because he can't stop thinking about the rat inside his food.
Sue them, man. You need to get that money, bro. I'm suing, bro. Imagine you eating a rat and you freaking want a rat so chewy, boom, it's a rat. See, because how would you guys react? I definitely need to see that down below. I'm suing, man. I'm sorry. Gotta be something.
Guys, parents told you as a kid. Number 1, that if you swallow gum, it will stay in your stomach for 7 years. Yeah, this is false. You would actually just poop it out in a couple days. Number 2, that coffee will stunt your growth. This is false. All it would do is make a hyper kid have even more energy. Number 3, that if you eat your carrots, you will get night vision or better eyesight. Unfortunately, this is false. All it will do is make your eyes more healthy. But if you do eat enough carrots, your skin could turn orange. Number 4, if you keep growing cross-eyed, you'll stay like that forever. Well, this is just simply incorrect. Nothing will happen. Number 5, that cracking your knuckles will give you arthritis. This is incorrect. Knuckle cracking is actually just nitrogen going into a joint. Number 6, that chocolate milk comes from brown cows. Yeah, this chocolate milk came from the same cow your white milk came from. Number 7, that sitting too close to the TV will give you eye pain. Scientists actually studied this and that's not true at all. Nothing will happen to your eyes.
This is the creepy
My
story.
whole childhood was a lie.
A girl was on a subway late at night when she noticed a woman staring at her intensely. The woman was sitting between two old men. The girl kept looking away, but the woman staring never broke eye contact. It started to freak the girl out. At the next stop, a tall man in a trench coat boarded. He sat down right next to the girl. The woman who was staring paid no attention to the man who just boarded and just kept staring at the girl. Now this really creeped out the girl. The two men that the woman was sitting between never once looked in her direction. The girl then pretended not to notice, but each time she looked, the woman was still staring at her. At the next stop, the man in the trench coat got up to leave when suddenly he grabbed the girl's arm and dragged her out of the subway. The doors shut and the subway took off. The girl then started screaming for help, but then the man said, "Calm down. I just saved your life. I didn't mean to scare you, but I had to get you off that subway."
The woman that was staring at you was dead, and the two men beside her were holding her up.
Yo, what's up?
Really?
These are the scariest unsolved mysteries in the world. Part 1. The Velisa Axe murders. On the night of June 10th, 1912, in the quiet town of Velisa, Iowa, the Moore family returned from their night at church. The two parents, plus their 4 children, plus 2 kids from the neighboring home that were spending the night, decided to settle down to go to sleep. The next morning, the neighbors found all 8 of them hacked to death with an axe. There were no signs of forced entry, and only 1 child was found outside of their bed. It's believed that the murderer climbed into the attic while the family was at church, and once the family returned home and settled down to rest, he came downstairs and then committed his crime. But get this, the only clue was a pile of cigarette butts in the attic, nothing more than that. There have been several suspects, including a suspicious business partner, an unsuspected lover, and even a traveling preacher, but none for sure. Obviously, this case has been left unsolved for years, but the house is still standing, and it's supposedly haunted by the family who got murdered and the person who murdered the family. But the thing is, you can stay there overnight. What do you think?
I would not stay there overnight. I said, no. It's been that long they couldn't solve it, man. I told you that's like one of my worst fears, bro. You're in a house that big and you don't know who's in it. Nah. That's an added secret.
Normal looking photos with disturbing backstories. This might look like a normal photo of a statue, but the reality is terrifying. The statue is of a girl named Sadako, and she was a victim of the atomic bombing of Hiroshima when she was 2. At 11, she was diagnosed with leukemia with less than 1 year to live. In the hospital, her father told her a story about how paper cranes can grant a wish to whoever makes them. So she set a goal to make 1,000 paper cranes. Unfortunately, she passed away before reaching that number, so her friends finished the 1,000 paper cranes and buried them with her. This next one is even more disturbing. The woman in this photo is Myra Hindley, and the man who took this photo is Ian Brady, and they had taken the lives of more than 5 missing children. What's even more messed up is in this photo, Myra is posing at the gravesite of her victims. Follow for more.
Urban legends caught on camera.
He was dashing across that field.
Part 3. A chimpanzee from Zambia was observed wearing a piece of grass in her ear for no apparent reason. After other members of her group started copying her, researchers soon realized that this was the first fashion statement observed in the wild. In Moscow, Russia, packs of stray dogs have been known to send out a smaller, cuter member to beg for food. They apparently understand that it will be more successful than a bigger, less attractive member of the pack. Here's some incredibly disturbing footage of a raven speaking human.
Come on. Come on. Come on.
I hate it. Octopuses are considered to be the smartest invertebrate animals on the planet. On 3 separate occasions, Otto the octopus caused a power outage at his aquarium by climbing to the edge of his tank and shooting a jet of water at a bright light. He's been seen juggling hermit crabs, throwing rocks at the glass, and renovating the surroundings of his tank.
You trying to get out, bro. Trying to do a prison break, man. I've heard when even octopus like open up the top of something. Like when they crammed into something, bro, they could open up the top to it.
Out are 8 horrifying facts that will probably keep you up at night. Being buried alive accidentally occurred so often that people invented safety coffins. In the Middle Ages, people used to eat mummies for medical purposes. It's the main reason we don't have a lot of mummies left today. In the United States, there are more vacant homes than homeless people. Did you know that the actress Glenn Close was raised in a cult? The Pirates of the Caribbean ride at Disneyland used to have real skeletons as props. In 1976, a TV crew realized one of the hanging bodies in the Laugh in the Dark ride was indeed a real body by accidentally breaking it. Women in the 18th century used lead as makeup. This is the first chainsaw. It was invented by 2 Scottish doctors. And, it was invented for childbirth. Yeah, there's a lot more. Like for part 4.
Let's go through their head.
Skinwalkers. They are said to be powerful witches and medicine men. They can even change their form to any animal they desire, including humans. But they mainly change into deer, wolves, and coyotes. The scary part is they say if you see one, They can steal your face and even your last scream for help. You might think this is like a folklore or tale. People actually believe these are real. The scary part is there's actual videos of people seeing oddly walking humans screaming help in the middle of nowhere. See, they say skinwalkers pretend to be humans in distress, and if they're calling out for help, they're just trying to lure you in. That's when they take your life and use your voice and your look to catch their next gullible victim. A man's wife wasn't even home, but yet somebody was calling him to come downstairs in his wife's voice.
No, I don't think I will.
If you want me to go out in the middle of the field, at least shapeshift and look like Rihanna or Beyonce. I'm making a mess, but this look good. I'll be there in a minute. 30 seconds flat. Naked. Very naked. Maybe even Lizzo. Let's light this candle.
What? I noticed she's always eating somewhere when you're seeing those videos, bro. You make me hungry. That's an edit, bro. Like I say, I see any edits. Spot them out. Ooh, what the hell? It's like moving back and forth. Oh, what the? Whew. Oh god, they got me. Hit the jets just like I would, bro.
You be disturbing legends from around the world.
Honey's. Where the mermaids originate from, bro?
These are a few dumb things that we all believed as kids. Look, please don't tell me I'm the only dumb child and that you guys also believe this shit, okay? Or else I'm gonna feel really left out.
Okay.
Anyway, let's begin. Number one, believing our parents that when they said if you had food and then went swimming, you would get a fucking cramp? Yeah, that's a load of fucking horseshit. Where the fuck did they get this information from? And why did we believe them? Search it up, it's not true at all. You can eat as much as you want and go swimming, no cramps. Number two, I thought that red ants were bad and black ants were good. That just isn't true though, is it? Like, yeah, obviously red ants are more aggressive, but they don't pose any more threats than black ants do. They're the same! As a kid, I was an idiot, alright? Number three, that whenever it was dark, something was always in the dark out to get us. Whenever we went to sleep, if it's dark, fuck me. Going to pee late at night, fuck me. Being the last one to turn off all the lights, fuck no. Yeah, no wonder kids nowadays have PTSD, man. Fuck me.
Oh,
Number four, okay, this one's probably just me, but I thought doctors couldn't die. I thought because, you know, they knew all about the medical field, they were smart people, they were just like immortals. It's like your parents always made them seem like such heroes. So I always thought they couldn't die, but eventually I realized that they can. And last, but definitely not least, at number 5, please don't tell me I am the only one with this one. But I thought that when people turned exactly 100 years old, that they would die. Okay, look, I was a stupid child. But I played a lot of video games and I thought it was like reaching the level 100, you know? Like, that's the end. Game over. Please tell me I'm not the only one. Creepy last.
Okay, maybe the last one, it probably got me when I was a younger kid, yeah. You used to think, like, the older you got, 100, that's like, that was the cap limit. Like, you could go past that, man. You was spitting on the last one. I believed in the last one, though, so.
Words people said right before dying.
Registered nurse Shirley Smith said that she had a very rich patient who was a true Satanist that was dying of cancer. The patient had upside-down crosses and a Satan's Bible by her bedside. Shirley said that she will never forget what happened. It was the middle of the summer, and yet it was so cold and dark in her room that you couldn't even stand it, even in the middle of the day. She said that it got so evil feeling in there that she had to call a priest to pray with her and her aides before they would even enter the room. When the patient passed away, she had not spoken in over 24 hours. And then all of a sudden, she sat straight up and said, "Satan, take me." And then she fell back on the bed. Shirley said that after she passed, the room got bright and extremely warm. Shockingly, when they moved the patient's body, they had to get rid of the mattress because where her body had been, it looked burnt. And the most horrible smell was emanating from the mattress cover. Needless to say, Shirley went to confession immediately because she did not want an evil spirit around her. A nurse said that one of their patients had a serious recurrence and had to be admitted. Over the course of several nights, he had become quite upset during rounds. He kept asking for his wallet, saying that he had to pay the ferryman. The medical student on rotation in the department took a quarter out of his pocket and put it in the patient's hand. The patient then dropped the coin into the cup on his bedstand and calmed down. Later that night, he passed away quietly. The nurse asked what happened. The medical student, who remembered his Greek mythology, said that the patient had to pay Karen, the ferryman, to be taken across the river Styx. A nurse said that he was doing rounds at a hospital. There was one two-patient room, and one of the patients was a very loud and confused woman who could be quite a handful. On this particular night, she had a roommate who had passed away shortly before the nurse entered the room. She was DNR, so there was no code blue. When he entered the room, he noticed that the elderly lady, who was usually very loud and confused, was sitting quietly with her hands crossed neatly upon her lap. Something was different, and there was this look of serenity on her face. She asked him in a voice that seemed much younger and clearer than before, "Did you see them, young man? They're so beautiful." He said, "No, ma'am, there's no one else here." She said, "They're right next to you, talking to Mrs. Banneker. The angels. They're so beautiful." He said that he instantly felt every hair of his body stand up and an electric tingle course up and down his spine. "They're not here for me this time," she said sadly.
Horror movies coming out in 2022 that you probably didn't know about. First up, this movie has a really unique story. It's called The Black Phone, and it's about a boy who gets kidnapped by a masked man and locked in a soundproof room. But then he realizes there's a phone on the wall where he can hear the voices of all the masked man's previous victims, and they're determined to help him escape. This movie was also made by the same people who made Sinister, which is another great horror movie. But next up, we have Don't Worry, Darling. This one's about a 1950s housewife living with her husband in an experimental utopian community until she realizes her husband is hiding a terrifying secret. This movie has an all-star cast. It includes Harry Styles and Florence Pugh, and is directed by Olivia Wilde. I just know this movie is gonna be good. Last up, if you watch the movie Orphan, there's a prequel coming this month. Orphan First Kill is about Esther's first time pretending to be an orphan. Do you remember how they mentioned that the family that adopted Esther before all died in a house fire? Well, this movie is about how all that happened. Follow for more.
You guys know I don't check out scary movies, man, but if any of the seekers seen it, you can tell me down below how they were. That's an edit. You see through that. Okay, they say we're gonna be moving in this video. Is this an edit? That playpen is moving, bro. What the fuck?
This man went
to hell for 23 minutes. Listen to how he describes the demons he saw in hell.
I was standing beneath this tunnel, like cavern walls that were sending upward, and all along the cavern walls were demons. Some were only 2 and 3 feet tall, some were 12 and 13 feet tall, but every one of them were twisted and deformed and grotesque, the most hideous looking creatures. And I noticed there were snakes crawling all over everything. And then I looked, and I was standing on a bed of maggots, just solid maggots, crawling all over everything and everybody. But remember, Jesus said, where their worm dies not, and the fire is not quenched. And he used the word maggot. And Isaiah 14:11 says, where the maggot will be spread under thee, and the worm will cover thee.
This is no joke. Hell is a real place. Repent of your sins today and turn to Jesus so you never go there.
Did you see it?
Disturbing facts that will ruin your life. The average person walks past 36 murders in their lifetime. During World War II, Japan bombed China with fleas infected with the bubonic plague. Heartbreak can trigger a massive flood of emotions that can cause fatal heart attacks. People's general happiness peaks at 21 and does not reach that level again until they retire. People who stay up late at night have more psychopathic tendencies than those who sleep early.
Really? So if you're a night owl, you a psycho?
Welcome back to another episode of Animal Facts They Don't Teach You in School. The first animal on today's list is the living alarm clock, chickens. Did you know these egg shitters are more closely related to the T-Rex than they are birds? Yeah, you heard that right. Chickens are pretty damn closely related to the Roy lizard. Have you ever wondered why chickens walk around and they always look fucking confused? They're like... Well, that's because the design of a chicken's eyes are A, really complicated, and B, can't really decide what they want to do. That's because both of their eyes do completely different things. One is nearsighted and one is farsighted, and their eyes also see more colors than we do. I would imagine these feathery cocks constantly have a headache. And speaking of heads, a chicken by the name of Mike in 1947 once lived 18 months without a head. First of all, who names a chicken Mike? And second of all, why was he headless for that long? Alright, next animal. One of the very few animals to evolve like a real-life Pokemon, the caterpillar. And I bet you didn't know this, but caterpillars dance to music.
It's right here, but for whatever reason, when you talk,
hello! And unlike most people, caterpillars aren't very picky with what they listen to, because they'll dance to anything if it's loud enough. Studies show that this BBC with hair in all the wrong places will dance to anything loud enough because it associates it with the predator and it's trying to ward it off by wiggling around. I don't eat caterpillars, but I feel like that makes you look more appetizing. Now previously I mentioned caterpillars evolve, some to moths, some to butterflies. Now you may think to yourself, that's a pretty good life. A, now you can fly around and get food and avoid predators, and B, you look less like my genitals, but life's not that great when they evolve. The fact of the matter is, many moth species don't live more than 24 hours, and that's because they're born without a mouth, therefore they can't eat and they basically just starve. Their only job is to reproduce. Up next on today's list is an animal that seems to spend most of its life struggling, the sloth. Besides looking like my creepy old neighbor, every time they defecate a third of their body weight. I can't imagine that's an easy thing to do. And aside from releasing demons every time they have to go to the bathroom, it also happens once per week, and it's life-threatening. That's right, every time the animal embodiment of molasses decides it has to go to the bathroom, which is once per week, it climbs all the way down to the bottom of the tree and digs a hole to go into. So now not only are you pushing out demons, but you're also worried about predators. And you can't move very fast in case one comes along. But don't worry, they're not totally useless. Because for some reason, they can hold their breath double the amount of time as a dolphin. Dolphins are about 20 minutes, sloths are about 40. Evolution really handed my boy the shit end of the stick, but for some reason he's a professional scuba diver. And did I mention sloths are basically designed to fall out of trees, up to 100 feet without any injury, and they do it about once a week. Their body has evolved to survive these falls instead of evolving not to fall. My guy seems to work off the same logic as the human population. I'm starting to think monkeys weren't actually our ancestors. Sloths were. All I got. Peace.
That's crazy, especially about the part the sloths, they seek the truth.
You're
some celebrities with the most kids, except each time it gets bigger.
All right.
Robert De Niro has 7 kids from 4 different women spanning decades. The youngest and oldest have a 51-year age gap between them. Alec Baldwin has 7 kids with his current wife and 1 daughter with his ex-wife, making a total of 8 kids. Clint Eastwood has 8 kids, with the oldest being born in 1954 and the youngest being in 1996. NFL player Tyreek Hill claimed that he has 10 children, but the true number is unknown because at one point, 3 different women all came forward claiming that they were pregnant with his kid, all within just 4 months. Eddie Murphy has a confirmed 10 kids with 5 different women, with the oldest being 34 and the youngest being 5. He keeps a good relationship with them all, and when he returned to SNL, all of them were in the audience. Nick Cannon is well known as being a professional breeder with 12 kids with 6 different women, his oldest being twins with Mariah Carey. And some of these names are quite interesting, like Powerful Queen Cannon, Beautiful Zeppelin Cannon, and Rise Messiah Cannon. I think he's running out of names. Bob Marley has 12 different children with 8 different women, 3 of them being with his widow and the rest being with various Jamaican women. And half of the kids all pursued music themselves. Before DMX passed away, he had a whopping 17 children with 11 different women. I guess you could say he really does have that dog in him.
This is the show.
Got that dog in him, bro. That's what they say, man. But that's just freaking crazy, bro. I kept increasing. I don't see how some people do, man. Especially Nick Cannon, bro. I saw a meme, bro, of him. There's like how Nick Cannon be on Father's Day was Lucius Fox. Look at all the screens of the Dark Knight, bro. I'm just like, that's the same amount of kids. But hey, do stay on, I guess.
Truth behind Moana. Lilo from Lilo and Stitch is actually Moana. She actually died at the beginning of the movie Moana, in the scene where her boat crashes and her leg gets stuck under a piece of coral, drowning her. And this is the reason why she's able to communicate with her dead grandmother, and also explains why she's able to follow Maui, who's a demigod, into the underworld. Maui is her guardian angel, and his task is to take her to Tahiti, which represents heaven, and the whole movie is her journey to the
creepy urban legends that turned out to be true, part 2. A construction worker knocks down a wall only to discover a bare skeleton staring back at him. Well, in 2011, while renovating the 2nd floor of a bank, workers discovered the bones of Joseph Scheck-Snyder, who had been missing for 27 years. It's believed that he may have gotten stuck in the chimney after attempting to break.
You talk to yourself. Albert Einstein was often found talking to himself. You worry a lot. Isaac Newton was a chronic worrywart. You have social anxiety. Charles Darwin had debilitating social anxiety. You're a night owl. Nikola Tesla only slept 4 hours per night. And you're a dreamer. Einstein's theory of relativity came to him in a dream about cows. Follow for more.
You were genius seekers? Tell me down below.
This is why you should never stay in sketchy motels. In 2005, a young woman on a solo road trip across the country decided to stop for the night. The first place she sees is the Mountaintop Motel. It looked pretty cheap, but she was tired, so she said good enough. The check-in guy eyed her up and down very uncomfortably and then asked her if she was traveling alone. She ignores the question, pays for her room, and then walks away with the key. When she gets inside her room and sees there are literally cockroaches in her bed, she says nope and decides to sleep in her car in the parking lot. Around 3 a.m., she wakes up to see the check-in guy using his own keys to get into the motel room she was supposed to be in. A few minutes later, he storms out and slams the door and starts walking towards her car. Terrified, she hides under her blanket as the man tries to open her car doors but can't and walks away. She speeds off and calls her friend and asks her to look up the address of Mountaintop Motel so she can give it to police. Her friend's quiet for a second and then just says, "The Mountaintop Motel closed a week ago."
Where was she at, bro?
Deep web footage that got leaked.
I'm gonna have to call edit on this one. You guys know we're getting better at spotting them out. If you see any edits, man, comment down below. That was definitely an edit. I'm gonna have to call cap on that one. We're getting better and better at spotting them seekers, man, with each and every single video. I'm glad you guys are catching on too. Like I said, we update our knowledge base together. Another one, man.
Normal-looking photos that have a disturbing backstory. Sweet-looking little girl is Jeannie, also known as the Wild Child.
who spent the first 13 years of her life chained to a chair, and this photo was taken moments after she'd just been rescued. This normal-looking scenic painting features the ocean with the night sky. However, it was painted by Adolf Hitler, whose dream in life was to become an artist. However, he failed the entrance exam to art school and ultimately gave up. This photo of Richard Hickok and Perry Smith shows two murders after hearing that they'd been sentenced to death. They murdered a family of 4 and planned to rob them, but they found nothing worth stealing except for a mere $50. The girl on the left is wearing a wire. The girl on the right has no idea. Together they stabbed one of their friends to death, and the girl on the left confessed to the police and is now cooperating with them. Besides the pixelation, this looks like a couple getting married surrounded by their loved ones. However, all the children in this photo were horribly physically and mentally abused until a couple of them managed to escape.
This is an actually true, real medical fact that sounds completely fake, but it is actually really true, I promise. Sometimes, babies are born without a butthole. There is a condition called imperforate anus, which is as scary as it sounds. This happens at birth, where sometimes the hole can be blocked or missing altogether, and sometimes the rectum could connect to the colon and lead to different openings, which cause some stool to come out of other areas of the baby. If my baby started shitting out of its dick, I'd be calling a fucking exorcist instead of the doctor. Luckily, it is treatable, and to put it simply, the baby's given an artificial or enlarged hole and given a colostomy. This allows their stool to drain into a bag that can eventually be removed in a few months. What's even crazier about this fact, though, is that it's actually incredibly common with every 1 out of 5,000 babies. To put this in perspective, over 10,000 babies are born a day just in the United States alone. I'm not the best at math, but that's at least 2 babies per day born without a butthole. And to put it even more in perspective, the average NFL stadium holds 60,000 people, which means at least 12 people in that stadium have...
This is why you should never live next to crazy people.
That's a crazy
In
fact.
2015, a girl who was totally fed up with her noisy neighbors finally worked up the courage to go over there and tell them to be quiet. She knocks on the door, and out walks this insane-looking old woman who just starts hissing at her. And she doesn't stop hissing at her until the girl finally just leaves. She considers calling the police, but ultimately just goes back to her room and goes to bed. But she wakes up a couple hours later when she hears that same hissing sound. Her first thought is there's no way this can be my neighbor, because she had her door locked. But then she notices there's a big lump right next to her in her bed, and she reaches over to check who it is. Her crazy neighbor leaps out of bed and runs into the closet.
This is proof that we weren't alone. Why does this mountain have stripes?
I kind of do see the stripes on them. Maybe they just formed that way? If that's true, then who put the stripes there? That's the real question.
Butter, and its size was approximately 600 feet tall. The legend is that a group of girls were out playing when they came across gigantic bears. To escape the bears, the girls climbed to the top of the summit and prayed to the Great Spirit. The Great Spirit heard their prayers and caused the rock to rise up from the ground out of the reach of the bears. The bears tried to climb up to get them and dug their claws in the rock to gain grip, but kept sliding down because it was too steep for them to climb. The bear's claws scratched the straight marks that are seen to this day.
You guys believe that story? Or think it's just a completely different explanation? I'm gonna leave that to you guys. What's this? This is gonna be interesting.
It's getting attention and stuff is kind of weird. There's no feud, so for us, it's kind of like we just laugh about it because there's nothing there.
You guys are like good friends.
Yeah, we're on an okay level. It's cool.
Are you guys ever gonna do like those dance off that Miley does with the AC/DC?
No, I'm not a dancer, so I leave that up to her.
Selena, the front neck smile. Selena, hold that right there, big smile.
But now I heard it's because she had a condition, lupus, so you know that's why she would like that.
Honestly, this is an absolute dream come true. I literally have grown up watching this show.
Okay.
I'm 18 years old. one heaven phone call. This is a random heaven phone call, okay? Nothing too serious. If it was serious, I'd call grandma, grandpa, uncle I never got to meet, someone like that. Unserious heaven phone call. Who are you calling? Personally?
I bet you didn't know these creepy facts that'll probably make you uncomfortable. There are at least 6 people out there that look exactly like you. And there's a 9% chance that you'll meet one of them in your lifetime. The author of Frankenstein, Mary Shelley, kept her deceased husband's heart for almost 30 years, until she died in 1851. A year later, his heart was found in a desk drawer, wrapped in a copy of one of his last poems. A book of spells written in the 1500s details how you can actually summon the nun, who is actually a demon named Valak. In the 1930s, a baby fell from a very high up window and landed on a man walking down the street below. Both the baby and the man survived. A year later, that same baby fell from that same window and landed on the same man. Again, they both survived. Dorothy Kinnaman, a panelist on the hit TV show What's My Line, died under mysterious circumstances while investigating the JFK assassination. Shortly before she died, she was quoted telling a friend, "I'm going to break the real story and have the biggest scoop of the century. If you can't get enough of true crime and horror, you should go follow my boyfriend. That way you can have double the true crime and double the horror." He's tagged right here.
That JFK story, man, that's chilling. You know what happens to people, man, unless who try to expose the truth on like historical events. Sometimes people don't like it when they get too close to it, man. They'll do anything to shut that story down. I wonder what the real truth is about.
The deadliest candy in the world. This powdered candy was banned because it was basically just a jar full of lead. It was called Lucas's Mexican Candy, and it was advertised as a way to spice up your foods by adding artificial lemon flavoring. But most kids just ate it straight from the bottle. In 2004, the FDA discovered that it had twice the legal limit of lead per gram. This prompted a massive panic and recall of the entire stock of this candy, and it remains banned to this day. Like, follow, share for more strange facts.
Careful what you eating.
So it looks like it is actually happening. North Korea is reportedly about to send 12,000 troops to Russia to fight on the front lines, and that's according to South Korea's spy agency, who labeled it as a grave security threat. Now, the reason that this is being treated as such a big deal is because up until this point, officially, both Russia and Ukraine have only received weapons from their respective allies, and this deployment from North Korea would mark the first time that a third country is directly getting involved in the conflict with actual troops. And that's a move that Zelensky called the first step to a world war.
One of my favorite Saw traditions is back. For those who don't know, for every Saw movie that comes out, they have a Saw blood drive. It's a partnership with the Red Cross. They did it for the very first Saw movie as a way to promote the film. If you come and give us some blood, we give you free tickets to see the movie. But the original filmmakers saw how successful this was. They saw how many people came out to donate blood, and they decided they wanted to do it again, but just to mostly help people than anything. And they did this for the Saw movies 1 through 8. And by the time Saw 8, aka Jigsaw, finished its promotional campaign, over 360,000 total lives have been saved because of the Saw franchise. I did make a video talking about this back in 2021. Wow, the difference a few years makes. They had to skip over the blood drive for Spiral, I'm assuming because of COVID-related reasons, but now it's back for Saw X, and the posters look so good. They're also advertising all blood types are accepted from all people, which is amazing.
Good way to save people, man. That's actually one of the most cleverest, I guess, promotions tied into a movie I've ever seen.
Here's the truth behind Shrek. Okay, who remembers the scene in Shrek when the bears are locked up by Lord Farquaad? Daddy and Mommy Bear are trapped together while the baby is in a separate cage. If you look closely, you can see Mama Bear has a pink bow on her head. Later in the movie, you can see Daddy Bear and Baby Bear are free, but Baby Bear is crying. So the question is, where's Mama Bear? Well, here's your answer.
What? You know how many times I watched the Shrek movie as a kid? I never noticed that. The little details in this movie, man. That's crazy. I never knew that. I didn't put two and two together, man. When you're a kid, you don't pay attention to that stuff.
I bet you didn't know this about the world. Part 1. Information travels in the brain at 260 miles per hour. Your hair contains tiny amounts of gold. The ocean contains almost 200,000 viruses. Your mind wanders 30% of the time. Sudan has the most pyramids of all countries.
Wow. You have gold hair, bro.
Here's some Disney Channel stars that went to jail, but each time the crime gets worse. Mitchell Musu, who played Oliver Oaken on Hannah Montana, was pulled over in 2011 for suspicion of drunk driving. Being only 20, he blew over the legal limit and was arrested and released on bail. Because of this, his character was written out of Pair of Kings, and his show Prank Wars was cancelled. Adam Hicks, who played Luther on Zeke and Luther and had a starring role in Lemonade Mouth, was arrested a couple times, most recently for armed robbery with his girlfriend. His sentencing was delayed multiple times due to mental health evaluations, and eventually he was given a 5-year sentence for armed robbery, but he's now currently on parole and making music on TikTok. Phil Lewis, who played Mr. Mosby, was arrested and charged for manslaughter after killing a 21-year-old girl while drunk driving. He was originally given a 5-year sentence, but the court suspended 4 years due to his work with prison-based theater groups that performed in jails, churches, and schools to highlight the negative consequences of drug abuse. Upon release, he was given 2 years probation and 350 hours of community service.
Never knew that, man. Mr. Mosby? What the hell is going on?
The Bajau people found on the waters of Indonesia, Malaysia, and the Philippines. It's understood they've retained this lifestyle for around 1,000 years. They spend most of the day diving into the ocean, hunting fish and other sea creatures. But here's where things get really interesting. They can hold their breath underwater for up to 13 minutes and dive as far down as 60 meters. Due to the pressure of the water that far down, some actually pierce their eardrums, which it's actually really bad for them. Some go to death. Now, the reason they're able to hold their breaths underwater for so long is because they evolved larger spleens in comparison to other humans, providing more oxygen to their blood. Their spleens tend to be at least 50% larger than their own. Isn't that interesting? These are the world's
mermaids?
Starting at number 4, Letta the doll, a 200-year-old wooden doll with human hair. She was discovered beneath a house in Australia. Kerry Walton, the caretaker of this doll, witnessed many strange things ever since he took her inside his home. Marks on the floor, objects mysteriously moving, and strange noises at night. Number 3, Okiku. This doll was purchased by a young man in 1918 in Japan as a gift for his younger sister. Tragically, after a year, the little girl passed away from a severe case of the flu. Sometime later, the family noticed something off about the doll's hair. It was originally short, and it has grown past its shoulder. Until this day, the doll's hair is maintained on a regular basis because it never stopped growing. Number 2, Annabelle. Known for its infamous movie releases and stories with Ed and Lorraine Warren, we do know that this doll is possessed by something that is evil, and whoever held this doll suffered from many bad things. Therefore, the doll is now stored in the Warren Museum, safe and sealed. But Annabelle is not the most haunted doll, because coming at number 1, Robert. Robert is not an ordinary doll. This thing is sinister. This doll is possessed by a demon, and it speaks to children. In Florida, in the early 1900s, this doll was gifted to a young boy named Robert Eugene, and his parents always used to hear Robert and his doll speak in the bedroom alone. And the family used to hear the voice of the doll respond. Eugene kept his doll till 1974 until he passed away at an old age. No one knew why this old man kept his doll for more than 70 years. After his death, Robert was given to the East Martello Museum. Visitors who have taken his picture without permission claim to have experienced terrible misfortune. If you visit Robert in the museum, you will see that this doll is surrounded by apology letters. And also other letters. like permission to look at him. And no one dares to take a picture of Robert.
I wouldn't.
There was a 6-year-old guest at one of Diddy's white parties, and he's revealed everything he saw. Justin Latovsky, now 30, along with his father David Allen and mother Maya, were invited to an afternoon barbecue in 1999. But when they arrived, it turned out that they were actually at one of Diddy's infamous white parties. Latovsky went on to tell the New York Post that he recalled seeing lots of drugs and naked women, but they didn't see people having sex. However, according to Justin's mother, they did leave at 9:30 p.m.
This guy was rated by the FBI for AI generating music on Spotify, and he earned an 8-figure fortune while doing it. 52-year-old Michael Smith of North Carolina is a music producer, or maybe more of just an AI prompt writer in this particular case, because he used AI to generate music, uploaded it to Spotify and Apple Music, and would then send swarms of listening bots to stream the music and get paid for it. Yes, AI generated music streamed by bots. This really is the dead internet theory coming to life. He's currently being charged with wire fraud conspiracy, wire fraud, and money laundering conspiracy, totaling to a combined maximum of 60 years in prison. But many are quick to point out that he technically didn't break any direct laws, as music streaming fraud isn't a crime. Yet. It is against streaming platforms like Spotify terms of service for sure, but company policy is not the same as the law. He first found out how to send listening bots to his songs on streaming platforms without getting detected back in 2017. But he realized he'd get caught real quick. Just a small handful of his songs by an unknown artist got billions of views. So when AI generated music first became a thing, he saw the opportunity of a lifetime. Working with the CEO of an AI music company, he started producing hundreds of thousands of songs generated by AI to send his army of listening bots to, made under thousands of different fake artist names like Callio Bloom, Callus Humane, Callus Ness, Com Baseball, Com Innovation, and Com Knuckles. Clearly AI generated. Even the album art was AI generated. Like, what in the f*** is this? And even weirder song names like Zygophysiae, I'm not even gonna try to pronounce these, in combination with thousands of fake names, emails, accounts, and VPNs to help make his streams look as legitimate as possible. He collected a total of $10 million in royalties from the music streaming giants between 2017 and 2024, racking in over $1 million a year. Unfortunately, I couldn't find a sample of any of his songs anywhere online, as they've all been scrubbed clean from every music streaming platform and website I could find. But let me know if any of you come across them. I'd love to listen me some Callio Bloom and hear just what kind of AI music was topping the charts all these years.
Crazy social media.
Goes to show you, man, he was hacking the system, man. It goes to show you, bro, like how like these artists and stuff, the stats and stuff, I guess, on Spotify and Apple Music, how it can be easily manipulated, bro, if they just be sending bots. So you never know whose numbers are real or not. He hacked the system, bro.
Media facts you won't believe. The most liked post on Instagram is an egg. It broke records with over 55 million likes. There's more TikTok users than cars on Earth. In 2022, TikTok surpassed Google as the most visited site in the world. Mr. Beast once opened 300 restaurants in one day. Now what's more crazy than that is that Rode is giving away $250,000 in cash. Plus amazing prices from Rode and their partners like Fujifilm, Atmos, and lots more. It doesn't matter if you're into ASMR, video gaming, or podcasting. You just need to use a Rode product and pick one of 22 categories. Don't miss out on your shot to be part of the Rode Creator of the Year Awards. Head to creatoroawards.rode.com to enter.
23-year-old Fan Man Lee, and how her head was found in a Hello Kitty doll. Fan Man Lee struggled with addiction for a very long time, and in 1997, she met a 34-year-old Chan Man Lok, who was a drug dealer and a pimp. For that year, Fan Man Lee became desperate for money and drugs, so she stole $4,000 from Chan Man Lok. When he noticed that the money was missing, he asked his two friends to kidnap Fan Man Yi. Originally, his plan was to force Fan Man Yi into prostitution so she can pay him back, but his plan got out of hand and he did something much worse. Chan Man Lok, his friends, and his girlfriend began torturing Fan Man Yi. They tied her up and beat her, burned her, sexually assaulted her, and forced her to eat human feces. Eventually, Fan Man Yi passed away, so they cut her body into pieces, boiled it, and then fed some of the remaining pieces to the dogs. This is where things get super creepy. The The three men decided to stuff Fan Manyi's head into a Hello Kitty doll. And get this, the crime was eventually reported by Chan Man-lok's girlfriend. She basically told on herself because she claimed to be haunted by the ghost of a dead woman. She said that this ghost would not stop tormenting her until she confessed to the murder. It's been said that the building where Fan Manyi passed away has been haunted for a very long time. People claim to see the figure of a woman walking in the hallways and also claim to hear the cries of a woman.
They had to demolish that building, man, because it's too haunted, bro.
Imagine getting married only to be decapitated by your husband 3 months later. 21-year-old couple Jared and Angie got married in October 2022. Around 4 p.m. on the 11th of January, police were called to their home in Texas. Police made a grim discovery in the pair's bathroom after finding, quote, what appeared to be the head of the victim to be in the shower, end quote. Angie's body was discovered on the floor near the bed in a pool of blood with multiple stab wounds to her back. It was actually Jared's poor parents that initially made this discovery after entering the home. They then obviously alerted police to what they found. Jared was arrested and has confessed to killing his wife with a kitchen knife. Jared was actually captured on CCTV, casually stealing a bottle of beer from Angie's workplace just minutes after it's believed that he killed her. Angie's friends have reported to police that the couple's relationship was toxic and Jared was very controlling. Jared's bond is currently set at $500,000.
Man, those toxic relationships, they're not worth it at the end of the day. You're going to do something that you're going to regret, and look what he did. All just because you couldn't break it off, man. You got to end the cycle.
This schoolboy stabbed his teacher to death in front of a classroom full of students. 61-year-old Anne McGuire was a Spanish teacher teaching in Leeds. She'd actually worked at the school for 40 years and she was only 5 months off retirement. However, in April 2014, something absolutely horrific happened. One of her students was 15-year-old Will Cornick. He'd always been described as a smart student who never really caused any trouble. Classmates regarded him as a polite student, but after he got diagnosed with diabetes, his personality seemed to change. In 2013, he tried to join the army, but because of his diagnosis, he was rejected. Being in the army had been his dream, so this was really upsetting for him. After failing to complete his Spanish homework, he was given detention by Anne. He also expressed a wish to her that he wanted to drop Spanish, but she wouldn't let him, which only angered him more. He began to develop a deep-rooted grudge against Anne. Shockingly, he reportedly messaged his friends on Facebook asking if one of them would kill her for him for £10. During one school day, halfway through his Spanish class, Will decided to get up and attack Anne with a knife. The classmates watched on in horror as he chased her out of the classroom. When there, another teacher heard her screams and tried to shield Anne from any more blows from him. Will then allegedly returned to his class and told his classmates how it was a shame that he hadn't killed her. However, Anne did actually pass away from her injuries. Will later admitted that he did plan also to kill 2 other teachers. One of them was actually pregnant at the time. He's been sentenced to life in prison with a minimum of 20 years.
What happened that caused his personality to change that drastically?
Let's talk about what happened to 13-year-old Rachel Mellon Skimp. She was born on October 13th of 1982 and lived in Melrose Park in Illinois. At the age of 3, her parents divorced and her dad moved to Dallas and her mom stayed with her in Illinois. Eventually, her mom started seeing a man named Vincent and eventually they got married and had 2 children together. Rachel was described as a bubbly person with a great sense of humor. She was the life of the party and was always the most beautiful girl in the room. On January 30th of 1996, Rachel was at school and was having a normal school day, and as the day went on, her friends noticed that she was crying by her locker, so they went to go ask what was wrong. She said she was having a problem, but that she was going to fix it herself, and that is all she said. The following day, on Wednesday, January 31st, Rachel decided to stay home from school because she was having a sore throat and was feeling kind of sick. So her mom left to work and her stepfather was going to stay home because he wasn't working at the moment. Rachel called her grandma to thank her for the Christmas gifts that she had sent her, and this call took like from 4 to 5 minutes. And her grandma said that this phone call was completely normal, nothing out of the ordinary, but she did notice that at one part in the phone call, Rachel was kind of quiet, and her grandma said, "Is he there?" referring to her stepfather, and she said yes, and then Rachel told her grandmother that she needed to hang up. Her stepfather stated that they played the Nintendo before she decided to go up to her room and take a nap. So once she was upstairs taking a nap, he decided to take the family dog for a walk, even though it was 20 degrees below zero. So he left at 2:30 p.m. and then ended up coming at 3 p.m. He said the reason that he took a while is because the dog broke free from the leash and he was not able to get him, so he just figured that the family dog would just find his way back eventually. At 3:15 p.m., Vincent's youngest daughter comes home and she goes straight to Rachel's room to greet her, and that's when she realizes that Rachel's not even there. So the youngest daughter tells her dad that it seems that Rachel is missing, that she's not even in her room, but he just doesn't seem to care. So once her mom gets home, the youngest daughter tells her that Rachel's missing from her room, so that is when her mom decides to call 911 and report her as missing. Stay tuned for part 2.
My gut feeling is.
Put your feet up my table, please. My feet hurt, man. I don't know why. Get them off my table.
So up until this point, it seems like the detective held little stock in Ryan's newest version of events. I mean, a story about getting shot in the eye and living to tell the tale just a few hours later is a bit outlandish. But as Ryan continues to give confusing answers and display increasingly erratic behavior, the detective finally takes a closer look at his wounds.
Let me see your nose. Put your legs down. Put your legs down. Bring your face closer. Oh, my head hurts.
How is this still up and moving?
Yeah, be right back.
After this abrupt exit, the man returns with a totally different demeanor. He's worried. He tells Ryan that someone is going to check him out to make sure he's okay.
Hey, Ryan? Yes? I got the fire department coming to take a look at it. They're going to probably take you to the hospital. You taking me to the hospital? Yeah, we're going to take you to the hospital. Why? Well, if you've seen your face and the way you're doing things, it doesn't make sense right now, okay? We're just going to make sure you're okay. I just want to go back to bed, man. Well, that's the problem. If you have some kind of head injury, you shouldn't be sleeping, okay? Well, sit down. There you go.
As the two wait for help, Ryan basically repeats his story about the shooting, saying that he just wanted to go to sleep after being shot in the eyeball.
I think I only got shot once in the eyeball. And then you just wanted to go to sleep? Yeah. Huh?
Soon others enter the room to take a closer look at Ryan. I believe it's the detective saying, "You're not going to believe this one."
Captain, you're not going to believe this one. I can't believe it either. You're right. I've already heard the story. I can't believe it. This is just my observations that this might be an entrance, this might be an exit, this might be into his eye. And he's acting like he has a serious head injury, which would make sense.
So now all the puzzle pieces are starting to fall together. A single explanation appears that nobody would have expected in a million years, and it's one that they probably hope isn't actually true. That's because if Ryan really had been shot in the head, that would mean that they neglected to get him proper medical treatment while he waited in the police car and underwent this lengthy interrogation, which, when all was said and done, allegedly added up to about 6 hours. 6 hours where Ryan would have been sustaining permanent brain damage. 6 hours where he could have gotten help, but instead was getting worse. Well, spoiler alert, it was true. Ryan had actually been shot in the eye, and his account of the break-in and shooting by a man named Richie and his dad was 100% real, even if he couldn't exactly get the details straight due to his injury.
Are there guns around? Kid Eric did it. I don't know how he did it exactly. I might have been shot. I don't know.
And they were still asking questions, man. They gotta get that man out to the hospital. Like I said, I didn't even realize it, but yeah, he was spitting facts that would fall on a policeman and get him medical treatment. They failed to do that. To survive like that, man, they're able to tell a tale like that. That's like a 1 in a million chance. 1 of a billion for that to actually happen, man.
Location of the emergency.
My daughter is missing.
What's your address, ma'am?
She's gone. We can't find her anywhere. I've called all her friends.
How old is she?
11.
Okay, what's her name, ma'am?
Carly, Carlie.
And last name?
Bruscha, Brucia.
The footage you just watched shows the last known moments of 11-year-old Carly Bruscha as she was abducted in broad daylight by a violent predator. Despite being reported missing by her parents within half an hour of her disappearance, Carly's case would ultimately go down in history as one of the most depraved crimes against a young girl. It all started on January 31st, 2004. Carly had spent the night at a friend's house, but the following day was Super Bowl Sunday, so she wanted to get back home in time to watch the game. She told her friend's mother that she was allowed to make the walk back home on her own and departed around 6 p.m. However, after she left, the concerned parent reached out to Carly's mother, Susan, and informed her that Carly was walking the mile back home alone. Susan said she didn't feel comfortable with her daughter walking even just a few blocks alone, so she sent her husband and Carly's stepfather, Steve Kanzler, to find Carly and drive her the rest of the way home. However, as Steve went up and down the route Carly would have walked, he couldn't find her anywhere, and that's when the nightmare really began. Steve continued to drive around for over an hour, praying that he had somehow simply missed Carly, but when he returned home and she still wasn't there, it became clear that something was seriously wrong. Susan later said of this moment that she instantly felt something terrible had happened to Carly, saying, "In my heart, in my mind, I knew." Susan and Steve left the house together to search again, shouting Carly's name out the car window as they drove down the road. They stopped briefly to investigate a wooded area and noticed a red tow truck drive slowly by them. Then they continued retracing Carly's steps and went to her friend's house to check there. And much to their surprise, they saw the same red truck parked out front. It struck them both as very odd, and upon realizing that Carly wasn't there either, Susan decided it was time to call for help. The frantic mother dialed 911 around 7:30 that evening. She couldn't hide the absolute terror in her voice.
911, what's the location of the emergency?
My daughter is missing.
What's your address, ma'am? And your phone number? Okay. Has she been missing before?
No, she had a fight with her girlfriend. She decided to walk home, and we've been driving around for about an hour and a half. And it's now an hour and a half walk. She's gone. We can't find her anywhere. I've called all her friends.
How old is she?
11.
And when was the last time that she was seen?
It was at 6 o'clock, Gee. Around 6 o'clock.
And she was at a friend's house?
Yeah.
Okay, what's her name, ma'am?
Carly, Carlie.
And last name?
Bruscha, Brucia. She's just shy of 5 feet.
Okay. Do you know how much she weighs?
She's around 120 pounds.
Okay, what color hair does she have?
Dirty blonde.
And what color eyes?
Blue.
Following the heartbreaking call, police immediately issued a BOLO, or Be on the Lookout alert for Carly, and searched the surrounding area for 4.5 hours, but found nothing. Meanwhile, Carly's family and friends got to work creating missing persons flyers with her face on them, and they began handing them out the next morning. But something happened during this time that struck a few people as suspicious. Carly's stepfather, Steve, allegedly visited a local equipment rental business to hand out flyers and asked one of the employees if he could purchase drugs in a couple of days after this whole thing blew over. The employee thought it was a very odd thing to say when his stepdaughter was missing, so he contacted the authorities. Detectives also felt that something was off with Steve, so they brought him in for questioning. He stated that he'd been at home the entire time with Susan, which she was able to corroborate. After fully verifying his alibi, he was cleared as a suspect, but Steve did offer them another name, Ron Choquette. Ron was the owner of the red tow truck, and he'd apparently been dating the mother of Carly's friend for 2 months. He was home the night Carly slept over, and at one point, he was the only adult present. So naturally, Steve informed police about how he'd noticed Ron's red truck.
It was Ron, wasn't it? That case, man, had some freaking twists and turns, bro. You just know that's a tragic case. Seekers, if you guys made it with me to the end of the video, you're a true seeker seeking the truth. I greatly appreciate the support. Make sure you guys leave a thumbs up in this video. Comment down below. Don't forget to hit the post notification bell. You guys are going to catch you in the next one, man. I'm out. Peace, YouTube.